I'm Dennis Bragg on the road with kids who are excited about books.
Yay!
Once the firefighters are safe on the ground, the attention turns to getting their supplies there. That includes the heavy items like chainsaws and fire tools, but also 24 hours of food and other supplies. That's critical in the Bitterroot Mountains, where teams can tackle dozens of smaller backcountry fires in a single season, or initial attack on backcountry fires that get big. I'm Dennis Bragg in Missoula. For months, I've been following the progress of the renovation of the historic Phillipsburg Theater. Now it's time to check out the finished project, Road Trip. The unofficial opening happened last Saturday when the bad weather forced the annual recital by the Dance Academy indoors. But after a year of lockdown and with the remodeling finished, it was the perfect handoff to a new generation.
Oh, this was wonderful.
It's a place of peace and rest any time of year, but fueled by the potent combination of this spring's wet and hot weather, Packer Meadows is putting on a real performance as the camas are bursting forth in bloom. And while this is a great day to get out and appreciate nature, it has a much deeper symbolism for the tribal peoples of the Pacific Northwest, the celebration of a new season and new life.
This is one of the main sustaining avenues of life for 11,000 plus years. If that puts it in any kind of perspective, you know, and they gathered, the old time ladies gathered this in dozens of pounds each day, you know, up to 50 pounds per lady.
I asked Ammerman what it's like to see young and old wandering the meadows.
I've seen the little kids, I've seen the elders coming out here, native and non-native, and it's just like their whole vibe, it just becomes that much more positive. We expected to see beauty, but on top of that beauty is this knowledge, and we just had the response has been overwhelming.
At Lolo Pass, Dennis Bragg, MTN News. I'm Dennis Bragg in Phillipsburg. A healthy idea that emerged last spring during the pandemic is on its way to becoming permanent. But backers of an idea to share food here in Granite County say they could use a new location. If you walk along the banks of the Bitterroot River today, you'll primarily find sand and gravel. But somewhere along these riverbanks or up in the foothills lies the answer to one of the valley's great architectural mysteries. But this effort wasn't just about getting emergency supplies. It was about helping friends and neighbors and doing it with heart. When you saw those water bottles coming through and all that stuff the other day, and the people with the, you know, boxes and bags and just that, I mean, what goes through your mind?
Oh, I think you can see it a little bit. It's just heartwarming, man.
In addition to getting that input from the stakeholders, Park Service personnel will spend the next several months analyzing the data from the summer ticketing system to see what improvements and changes might be made for 2022. The seasons are changing, and so is the weather in western Montana. But will it be enough to make up for an extraordinarily dry 2021? I put that question to Ray Nicholas, the hydrologist with the National Weather Service office in Missoula. How long is it going to take for things to recover, especially with our water supplies?
Yeah, it's going to take a real, a good wet winter, good snowpacks in the mountains, and that type of a comeback.
After years of planning, engineers with the Montana Department of Transportation are ready to show off their final designs for the Ronan North project. The multi-year project has not only restored the 58 large and smaller murals more than a century old through the building, but has also uncovered many other details that were lost through time, and that's meant a certain amount of detective work.
It's a great joy to watch people walk in through the front door for the first time and walk through the foyer and just come into this space and just, their eyes get big and they smile, and you can see the grins even behind the mask at times.
There's still some detail work to be done, but the restoration should be complete in late fall or perhaps early next spring. Because the community has been so supportive of this project from the very beginning, Father Hightower says the church wants to make sure that everyone gets to be involved when a dedication ceremony takes place next summer. Winter's starting to catch up in the Northern Rockies, but researchers say this could become a rarity in the decades to come. Outgoing Park Superintendent Jeff Mao looking back on satisfaction with meeting the challenges of running the park for the past several years, and with thanks for the people who helped him do it. Play begins Saturday night at 6 at Glacier Ice Rink with 2 games on tap, with some of the proceeds going to help the Jack's Army Bridge project. Dodging pucks in Florence, Dennis Bragg, MTN News. It's early morning at Lolo Hot Springs. As As a huge crowd of snowmobile riders from all over the U.S. gather for the biggest ride in Montana, an official Montana Snowmobile Association event receiving national coverage this year, drawing more than 40 riders. For the next week, these riders will cover hundreds of miles of mountain trails, and today they've invited me, participating in the thorough safety briefing and avalanche beacon checks. It's a fun and forgiving group, even when I can't get my dirt bike ATV watercraft brain to engage in the first bump of the day.
Whoa. If that happens to you again, you can stand on the uphill running boards.
Gotcha. Then we settle in, and the country is just gorgeous, an almost spiritual transition from what these roads look like in the summer, punctuated by fun spots like Elk Meadows, where I learned getting stuck is part of the fun. But that's where the local clubs come to help.
They show us kind of the best, like you said, the creme de la creme of all the areas so that we get the best views and the best play areas. We direct our money towards teen suicide prevention and PTSD support for our vets. And over the last 8 years, we raised about $110,000 through this group. This year, we're going to probably, easily eclipse $20,000 and hopefully a lot more.
Mental health is a huge thing in our country right now, and the money we raise for NAMI every penny of it stays here in Montana, so that's awesome.
A cause to match the country. Today's ride is shorter than most, yet we still cover 57 miles. Well, here we are back at Lolo Hot Springs after a long day of riding. Imagine doing that again and again and again. That's what the Trans-Montana ride is all about. But it's also about making friends and the camaraderie of being on the trail.
We're just here to have fun and meet new people. Raise money for NAMI, that's the whole key. It's the charity.
Always nice to ride back home, though.
Oh, it sure is. Yeah, nothing like it.
In the Lolo backcountry, Dennis Bragg, MTN News. It's hard to find a Montana small town more American than Hamilton. Yet the pandemic in the Bitterroot continues to push patriotism and community into different corners. That was evidenced Tuesday when Bitterroot Drug sponsored the Valley's first vaccination clinic for kids, meeting the demand for anxious parents, especially in front of the holidays.
Why don't you hold Daddy's hand?
Can I use the shot?
I know you're not. I know you're not.
I think you're going to show us how brave you are today.
We wanted to be able to put our kids back in sports and be at school and know that they were protected in the best way possible. And
Bushmaker called the shot a layer of comfort, and the other parents I talked with agreed, some with deeply emotional reasons.
A year ago today, I started with some really mild symptoms that ultimately turned out to be a positive COVID test. I was in the emergency room. I was on medication. I was really sick. It was not just a little cold for me.
In fact, Shay still has health problems, bringing tears to her eyes as 7-year-old Evelyn received her shot.
I had a big reaction when she was getting the vaccine because I also remember a year ago I couldn't protect my daughter.
But there's a different side. Demonstrators outside the school expressing fears about proper testing as the child COVID shots have rushed to market.
So we don't know what the long-term side effects will be at this point. So our reason for being out here is hopes that people would do their research. We are hoping that, people would really look into it and be more aware of what could potentially happen to their children from this vaccine.
Are you folks as tired of it as everybody on the other side of the debate?
Absolutely. I think if we dig really deep and try to find the root of the problem and see what's really going on, why are we being forced a vaccine?
every little thing that we can do is another layer of protection, I feel like, to help them. And, that's why we give any vaccine. And so we thought this was such a great opportunity to be able to do something that makes us feel better at night, that we know we're doing the best possible thing. We know we're doing with the information we have, we're doing the best we can.
In the Bitterroot, Dennis Bragg, MTN News.